Will you grow old with vitality or get old with disease? It's time to decide.
It's time to decide. What will be the last 10 years of your life be? I think that, and I just want to go through it one more time. I just want to so that you.
What will your last 10 years look like? Will you be quick enough for a game of tag with your grandchild? Strong enough to embrace every moment? Will you grow old with vitality or get old with disease? It's time to decide.
It's time to decide. I know say picture na ho no na be man wo intermediate. But me pese o swap na de oba mo share hon. Since we are majority of people on this platform AMR. Now the reason why I like this video and say me sure say my for your platform you so beyond ubia try say all retirement plan. Whatever retirement plan be will be in mind the beyond. But in my line of work, and then I've been a clinician for the past 18 years. And I've seen so many things. But the reason why we need to take certain decisions and net is because of this video I may play. You move Chrome her and I see about Chrome her, we are working. And a lot of times we are working, say, at least, let me track back and say this. The average American spend the last 10 years of their lives in the hospital. And I want to quote again, the average American spend the last 10 years of their life in the hospital. And even with that, the average American after retirement, mostly, spend at least within the last 10 or 20 years of their lives, most of them, spending their money, visiting one doctor's hospital or the other. Just the beginning of this year alone, I've seen, if I'm not exaggerating, almost 50 people are just with the orthopedic surgeon or non just a knee replacement and hip replacement. The funny thing is say 95% of this patient population in IMR. 95%. Now, for somebody to qualify for the knee replacement, hip replacement, most of them, you need to have your diabetes under control. You need to have your weight under control. And other than that, you cannot benefit from any of these procedures because you will not be fit for it. Even if you are hypertensive, it has to be under control. So the question that I asked, and I said, how did we get here? If you look at this video, also, will you be able to play a game of tag with your grandchildren? Mama, for a while, your nana no, your pesi no mudi agro, your pesi be grumpy grandma. But bisa who say the state of health a woman sabri. You say agro beso a ifranopa. And yesu wunimu wo so ahwenna. Enti bisa who say the state of health I will find yourself in it. Ask yourself, say, within the next 10 years, whatever age I will be, within the next 10 years or 20 years, will you be in the physical condition to live meaningful, happier life? What can say be as a want to fear and as to fear? Bisa say, video no. In most of the houses that I know of right now, I've visited patient in, a lot of them, the stairs in it, they need to install stair lift. They are spending their hard-earned money to install a stair lift because stairs, to go to the bedrooms, almost spending millions of money just to be able to buy and renovate. A lot of them have to remodel their bathroom because the jacuzzi bag, all those bags, now they cannot get in and out of those bags. And these are very critical things. And the reason is that there are certain decisions that needed to be made earlier on our mind. Now, per se, any of us up this platform will form a victim to that. And until make it some decisions. Most importantly, I may use Sika as an example. As we say here, I'm saving towards retirement, I'm saving towards retirement. But one question I may be saying is, what is your health savings account looking at? And most time I tell people, say there are two important things you need for retirement: good health and then the money. You move a brain, we are looking at the monetary aspect, but I can tell you, I know a lot of my patients, they have the monies and other things at World Bank anyways, but trust me, they don't have the health to enjoy any of those monies. So now the money is useless to them because they can't travel, they can't have all the fancy things, they can't drive those cars, they can't do all of that. So at the end of the day, the money now they work for becomes useless because they don't have the health need to enjoy the money. And addition very important. And see a physical activity, physical activity in simple clinical terms defined by any bodily movement our skeletal muscles require that, like that requires energy expenditure. And say bema spending energy is defined as physical activity. Now, as basis of that, Obi says what are some of them? For instance, offer baby to say a so be to mika working, active transportation, recreational activities will be sports and as we say nina are part of the physical activity. But the first physical activity now, there are three categories of it. You will general physical activity, you will health enhancing physical activity, and you will planned exercises. During the course of the day, you move we do part of the general physical activity. As far as saying the first category, the general physical activity, you form part of it. It involves getting up from our chair, go to the restroom, walking to your car, walking to the kitchen, who tie with shoes, anyways, they are all part of the general physical activity. As far as saying a part of it. The second part in the friend said what we call the health enhancing physical activity. Physical activity and I say energy expenditure. A buana emma wa pomodin so yeden a kosoro it enhances your physical activity and your health. Ebininen say say bia wapake o car na wonante or na so use stairs instead of using the elevator. All those things are health and fun. Like in fact, say what's na adwuma mo oye adwuma na adwuma na more sedentary. Like say what's na fa kon. I get it up every 30 minutes just to be able to move around. Anyway, say they are all health enhancing. Anyway, what the third category of friend is a planned exercises, which is a deliberate activity that you engage in a very pre-planned way. Normally, the American sports medicine defines it is the way of actually spending more than one metabolic equivalence. because you define it say physical activities anytime we expend energy. Into some metabolic equivalence and my main chile movement and raffle and then say meti hesing. Anytime you are seated and I say maybe you are driving, it is one metabolic equivalence. Na no ye define say obi a sedentary say because obi e fa akotena. We define this clinically and you define it that sedentary behavior no, and as a sedentary lifestyle no, as you are spending with energy expenditure we are spending no less than 1.5 metabolic equivalence, and so 1.5 metabolic equivalence is equal to say what and as what recline. An example to say what TV or video games or drive just by sitting and drive and that's what to read, the energy expenditure we less than 1.5. And anytime what activity is like that and we say you are sedentary, with energy is energy expenditure and I say energy we spend with muscles spend it's less than 1.5 metabolic. Ideally, the average person should spend between 8 to 12 metabolic equivalents in a day. And because you are physically active. And I say even more. But if all your energy expenditure is less than 1.5, you will call it say you are being sedentary. Now, exercise that most of us in and I say can't want somebody we say another subcategory and I say a part of what dear friend is physical activity and me define and say and only a deliberate pre-planned part you want to enhance your health with it. But most times these are the things some of the physical activity and I say we say now a lot of us do not want to engage in it. Now, before say one of the things I present can say, my typical example. For be to say diabetes anyway. A lot of times the reason why your body some of this metabolism, because diabetes, for instance, is a metabolic problem. But it is because you are not actually metabolizing neomana as early and efficiently as you should. The good thing about a physical activity it enhances your metabolism. Well, for instance, physical activity and exercises increases glucose sensitivity. Now, say you take your body now, there are two ways that your body produces energy. One is through fat oxidation, and then you see mitochondria the powerhouse at what is cell and answer through glycolysis I use glucose. Meaning say me nantina me breast walking. By virtue of that, the most efficient way your body uses energy is using the mitochondria and it uses the fat to do that. Say your body fast energy to say members me tumri can as we say na me fast energy. Your body switch to glycolysis and as glucose and then they use and they build it up. Into any time be your energy expenditure na say a demand and supply. Udi banku nugum anopa udi koko ewia no wedi banku enwere wedi fufu wasankwan ada say swallow and aso diapesie. Any of these things now you are building energy stores in your body. The question say nyoma wedi egu body say have you actually expended that amount of energy now such that to say there will not be excess calorie build up in your body? Maseda na road and I'm used diabetes and for most diabetics apart from type 1 majority of people are type 2 which we actually acquire them. It's because at some point we build up so much we didn't the sugar level now what system inside that to say the cells insulin na the gateway and as a pono na no baby cells ama the glucose na the aqua cells to use the cell is shutting off the glucose it is making the glucose and is making the insulin less sensitive because it say cell no feel so Bankunini adena udigu mu na ano ni we say no. Your body have not already used it. It has not used it. And no pa sorry and udigum. Ewe diegum and numero diegum. And all you've done no is to just move about with yes the general physical activity in a level, but you've not done anything in the health enhancing physical activity category no to drop down and I said to make yourselves you know say oh we need more. In the eye to say what order for fish na fish na we dey share freezer no no unyusu nwie and a supplier no the fish and every also the bayan cat and kwan wasan for so the fish no for ba mama for your platform so obeje o fridge na yema in the most time e be ya say you better deep freezer for near their shared basement or na say o freezer na so e wo hono so ayema so ni obe ya na so ba ka say won pebio in issues like diabetes anyways that is what is purely happening. Who the fofro oh the face no fofro bread body no say ma ne odi boom no kura yenyusu nwie. So the only way you bet me open up for more supplies to come in is when near one wire then we use. It's as simple as that. But the funny thing is most of us we don't want to do the things ebema the cells free the cells so that these things will come back in. But like I said, a lot of your excuses, and I want to use as I said. For instance, most people, some of the things we see on social media. One, exercises don't have to be perfect to be done. Most time people didn't say, oh, I say wouldn't to say okay, papa near mommy do say wouldn't pristine body be and no say it has to be perfect. I say what? No. You don't need that. The most important thing is that you are moving. The next thing, some is always better than none. The be a mechanism say consistency over intensity. Say minyo every single day at the end of this presentation or promises say anytime with the enumere piano or did we obey 10 minutes digestive work. That is the only exercise I want you to do for the rest of the year. If you are starting, say at the end of every evening, you do a 10 minutes of digestive work. 10 minutes. Now with the share monitor your own health and your biomarkers at the end of the year or your annual chest check. 10 minutes of digestive work. Digestive work is what did we 10 minutes after you've eaten, you go for a walk for 10 minutes, you walk a little bit faster every single day. I want you to do that. Maybe you take the Sabbath off as a rest. So some is always important than none. And the 10 minutes that we don't person about who feel or know there go up and down, stairs and go up and down 10 minutes. Digestive work. I've seen this and we did something similar in Central Zone. At the end of the day, the next committee called, I had so many people who actually they've actually come to talk about the benefit it helped on their own health. And these are all health professionals, trust me. The next thing, and some of the reasons, and I know for some of us, we know the reasons why moving and other things helps. And one, it reduces pain. And you don't have to take my word for it. Most of the things I'm making, these are all backed by research data. And that is why I love talking about these things. For most people, more pain, chronic pain. Most of us suffer from what we call chronic or not systemic chronic inflammation. It's because we are not moving. And because of that, the inflammatory stuff you do any DNA we say a produce, we are not getting rid of them. For most of us as women, probably a disadvantage because once we do menopausal ages now, those hormones, protective hormones, start depleting. A lot of women go through a lot of stress just because of that. Because prior to that, they had no active movement. It reduces diseases. I can't go into specific examples for each of them. It promotes healing. It improves mood. We are very moody, cranky, and all those things. We just need to move. The funny thing is, yeah, I see you need time. But you know the interesting thing? Yeah, what time I bit media tana WhatsApp or so, a chunk of other pa, a dinkomo. Sometimes I see a lot of us as Ghanaian, one of the things they do. Obeko, me say clinic obabana, obete say, obi ne phone so or bo radio no say in the clinic we say no Ghana, Nigeria, Africa for no more. And most of them, do you know what we are doing? We are listening to Nyoma Yakoso or Ghana. And yet we are so worked out. And the funny thing I ask myself is, what spend no time at MPP ni NDC Nyoma Yakoso or Ghana? What's all TA on twaba? Wona what here worry yourself when what spending your time listening to all those things, you know. Ask yourself, Nyoma no fiti and for so ben pan their health. I will employ you say you spend that time not going for a walk. It strengthens your bones. Most of the physical activities, it strengthens your bones. And for people that I know that have been doing this for years, it helps. But the funny thing is, you don't need years. You can even start now. It helps you to live longer, but not just longer. The biya obi ye say a bon pie ma say obenya enkwatenti ahoɔden wom. Bibia anye ya say the biam papa bon pie say ya reda hɔ. Bibia anye ya say your independence is taken away from you. Now life are prolonged, but life now is prolonged. Any hospital visit we say we are not happy. But so now for say omo kokoro mu invite you because yeah be frɛ ya man no baka say ne kotodwe na ba ne sasa bro na ba na ne sisi na ye say na we say ntu dem me enfrɛ mo me enko. But say very soon now our friends in United desert you and yet deliberate because they be over you draw them back. It strengthens your muscles because the other thing is that your muscles na say get nam na we dey na won a simple use it or lose it. Mama example unim say when you hit the age of 30 you lose about 5 to 10% of your muscle mass in the process called sarcopenia. For the sake of our time, about 5 to 10% of your muscle mass you lose it through at that age. And naturally, muscles ankasa a year weaker. And sometimes, sorry, in our Ghanaian community, the typical thing I would say about yama before in oh, say me kabankwa na me show that yama ya. Oh man, if you okay, kibina me ye na if you on me show. The reason is this. First, na awodi ana wo no. By virtue of the fact that I had to say, oh, first na me top bag for $1,000 and have because first na we income no was through. And now we be broke because we income na eren aba form. It's the same thing. First na uchi fufu na oh you need fufu no ni we uchi are fine. But now we are because over time no awodi na we show that no man we ka banku di fufu no eswate. The question I ask and then I say, how many times have you done any exercise to strengthen those shoulder muscles now? How many times have you done that? Mami using ni pass an example. Say who are down phobia de be on the offer jisika changes now there on ma with kukrada. How do you feel about that about Adam Fono? The same thing you do your body no. What you saw about saying will show the anyway they are careful for kabanku. The question I ask you is how many times have you done any strength training to build those muscles up so that they can continue to be used? Say they be kabanku. How many times have you done that? And nothing is say now we bibi kakrabia no show than ya. And now what I will say Mississippi. The question then say oh, yes, many arthritis. The arthritis it's inflammation. Why? How did these things happen? There are degenerative changes at the cartilages. How did they happen? Because over a long period of time, What nice you use to see them, they are here, but you've not done anything to build them up. Into I just say what account. You've withdrawn from it several times, but you've not put anything back. Enunti ene we bibi kakra na otanse kakra osisi oya we na ohayo okoda untimi na because you are in pain. The exercise and others will even help you to sleep. It will help you to lose weight because one nano enunti na ma won't lose weight, you know, because there's a good correlation between sleep and weight loss. Like I said, and a time this one I just me pese me bobo boni o mani bi so. Before time you go through this, the whole aspect of sarcopenia and then muscle mass, and we'll have another time and we're going to, and its implication on mortality, cognitive impairment, anyway, say all the importance of all those sarcopenia and what's you become watching. So you see this example, so okay, image we're thrown a 35-year-old person, it has a 55, we're 85 years old. Of somebody or no losing the muscle mass into one say muscles in the water ready, and I will say into what it's being replaced with fat. The interesting thing and then say loss of muscle mass, you know, it has effect on diabetes or cardiorespiratory endurance, and I say heart diseases, osteopenia, say and mre, dementia, loss of independence, premature death. Say all of them because so muscles in a weaker. Always in Casana say shift, and now could try anywhere. So when your days were high, when your degeneration were high, and all of those things. And also here with the reason why we get into early death. But we can prevent all of these by some of this physical activity in ways I can want them. And some of the things, and we have actually about 5 of them. We have the aerobic exercises and this example they be American say menka so kotu mirika undu mirika da, but you know say me two say me sorry na me time me ho me fa me watch na me time me ho say oh you know me ye 30 seconds me the timer ye nyina ye wo timer o do stopwatch na why you say na 30 seconds o press it go now o call up no aba down up no aba down up no aba down. Say see I me time na me ya ye nyina yes out you realize say within 30 seconds you see so your heart rate goes up. So open cardiorespiratory endurance and that's aerobic exercise you can just use that. And you know and yes minim pabwa mini ways intimate and just that do that consistently and you'll be amazed how about heart rate. Meka weightlifting ne exercise ne when your exercise band you ubetime use to build the strength. Flexibility exercises say stretching the way saying is important. Balance exercise. So I'm kind of maybe sometime we'll find time and go through all of these things and one after the examples and how to go around that. Because for instance, a lot of people are losing their balance and mampo they are worse off because after say I share the high heels in any way saying by the time you that age 50 you can already, like I said, through the process of sarcopenia your muscles now are weaker now and because you shem pabwana manema you na no na mia say na bedru baby no your balance start getting wonky. So a lot of women fall more than men and a lot of women get more hip fractures and all those things just because of those falls. And all these things are very important. So how do I include most of these varied exercises, and that is the aerobic, strength, flexibility, and balance exercise into my daily routine? You just have to know your principles, what I call sport. The exercise now we have to be very specific. What do you want to achieve? Say me person me build me arm up say me twifufu me twibanku na metimi ya. I need to do specific exercises for the arm, no, just to do that. And sit to stand to build your cardiorespiratory endurance, expecting say your arm need to be stronger. No. The exercise have to be specific to the task. I'm not say at the crowd no. The other principle you need to do, there should be progression. As you do the exercises, you need to progress. And it's a ne, remember, with me, 5 sit to stand in 30 seconds. Or China, a must say, with me, be a 6 and a 7 in the same 30 seconds. That is how you progress. And you realize that after the you don't struggle because your body is building. And I'll explain the principle. There has to be overload. The exercise now and as a physical activity now, it has to challenge you. And anything as a member because may walk, yes, or may do and what do is form part of your general physical activity. It is not a health enhancing one. One exercise, for instance, they have to be an overload. It has to be sufficient enough, to elicit what we call a positive adaptation. And say a generative BB ma body necessary. Now we explain that. And your dear friend said reversibility. And then they say, so what jazz exercise now? And also, your body can go back to the default. Now are you weekend? I don't think be na me ye pa but me jazz is here masha and almost once a week you started going and sometimes people say, oh, so do I have to do this for the rest of my life? And the question I ask and then say, do you go to work for the rest of your life? The answer is yes. You work so that you can save money for the rest of your life. Sometimes I tell people, do you eat for the rest of your life? Yes. Because you need energy for every single day. And that is why the same way our body is the number one instrument in Yankopon the amount. And this physical activities and other things in exercise are done as the maintenance of the body. So as far as I say, car ya your friend a body ube you soon dear. And so with the cost servicing. And these physical activities are the ones that actually enhances and a decongested engine and that's a cleaning up engine, filters, air conditioning. That is what you're using for your body. But the funny thing is, we want to continue to use this body without putting anything in for the very body we are using to make money. Then when the body starts breaking down, we want to act oblivious and say, as you name how it happened. It is the daily decisions you take. Time. You need to have sufficient time enough for the activity now. So normally I say it is about consistency over intensity. I would take Obia and kind or me walking every 10 minutes after digestive work every day. Over Obia or running once in a month or once in 2 months. No. So behavioral change, critical medical can once say there was something we call systemic chronic inflammation. And this thing leads to depression, cancer, heart disease. You move a brain in a publication that was actually published in 2019. The causes and consequences of low-grade systemic chronic inflammation. You will say a lot of your DNA anyway saying it leads to all of this. So the system is inflamed. How do we get rid of this? It is through this movement, physical activities, anyway say. Now, it happens in a process what we call mechanical transduction. Now, in simple terms, what it means in NNSF, any term biana may introduce. So, for instance, me won't see bottle waha. So me decide say me use this as an example to work out. Now me left in here. What happened? And I say, as I continue to do this repeatedly, because of that, then a trigger, and I said this load, it triggers some things in. There's a communication in the cells, and they say, "Hey, body need you to BB." And I'm saying it goes into the cell. The cells, and they try to say because now let's try to build some resilience and a bit with me use at the end of the eye. So that is how I said the body kind of provide a reply to the response. And if you are not introducing anything to elicit that response from the cells now, but the next say, oh, you don't need it. So that is how we lose your strength and your mobility over time. Until most time because yes, because for instance, I see a lot of veterans and after they go on retirement, they start having all these problems. And they were like, oh, when I was in active duty, I used not to have this. And I'm saying, yes, when you were in active duty, you used to have the fitness test. And because you need to pass your fitness test, you were keeping yourself always fit. Send a bell to me, I pass all your fitness test and be in combat, ready. Oh, yeah, now call retirement, and you thought to say it is just for being an active veteran. But you forgot to say those physical activity, you were building your body up. That is why you were in good shape. Say, we're joining, no one man call retirement, your body is breaking down. So first, okay, oh yeah, car now we use now the cost service anyways because we're jay and na car no that's we use now the car is breaking down. In simple put, so this is the entire issue about mechanical transaction, meaning me left it we saying, and that's the mechanical stimulus. Stressing my cells now, the cells, the cellular stress, will elicit response. Now I modify with tissue into no be usual say after the muscles now shall build up. How did they all build up? Because there's modification just because of the activity or shall say so. Ain't so we have wait my screenshot this at the Mediato platform is wait my screenshot. Normally I say this. These are some of the standardized tests that sometimes I tell people say they can actually use to test their level of fitness. And in a more clinical setting, yes, and this one is very easy for you to go through. It tests or posture or flexibility or balance. Some of the exercises are there and then you will range. You should be able to fit in or to your age. Know how many you are able to do. For instance, say if I obi to say check out the first dynamic balance. Say me sorry, how long can it take me for me to get up, walk about 2 meters and come back and sit down? If I can do that within less than 15 minutes, it means I have more dynamic balance. These are standardized tests. Maybe actually no many organizers bit me produce this as part of the church, general health screening, you bit me some of these simple things so that we can actually work towards those targets, based on the baseline information that you bit me simple exercises like a 2-minute step, meaning say if you are between the age of 60 to 64, you should be able to make about 97 steps within 2 minutes. And it say, oh, you're less than 60, meaning say you should be able to do more. These are all standardized tests that you beat me higher. So yeah, they can count the benefit of the exercises, and I don't want us to take so much time there. Now, apart from all of this, sometimes, and I tell people say the exercise, it can be something even recreational. Something recreation means there we need something fun. Me can say video na me can show you no nana no di agro. These are all physical activities. It's something, it has to be something fun. Send be a bit more consistent. In the playing with your grandkids, running around with them, the memo ultimately get to cardiorespiratory endurance back. Do that. Because what shall I say so I idea fun for you. Be something fun. Say yeah, we have so much fun. Say about phone so near number for akasa for hours. You don't go back on it because it's fun for you. These are some of the things that we need to do. And see a bit my artwork, craft, personal interest, anything personal interest. Be about maybe going out for a walk with your husband, with your kids, visiting friends, taking a walk. All these things can be fun. Recreational activities like church, crack and organize it every Sunday. Mano, every Sunday. Anopa. Let's take 30 minutes. And I say, one neighbor would be a bim. Let's all take 30 minutes and go walk. This can be something because when you do these things together, motivation. Just by doing these things together, and it helps. And these are some of the things that we can do in groups. Recently, I was invited in to speak at a conference in San Antonio, and this the one of the conferences that I was on a Seneca, they organize this and it become every piano, and it's so interesting. Say from old people to little crank, all participated doing 5K every month. They drew an answer no bias in a t-shirt, and then they use that just about an hour or two, just every month, just one day, they do a 5K. If you want to walk, you can walk. If you want to run, you can run. And it's so interesting, say, so for home, and it's so fun to see the old people and young people work together. They're taking pictures of all of those fun activities. It's been something I've been part of, and I think, say, as a Ghanaian community, you know, so yeah, idea is you bit me. And nature, like doing this recreation, and say one, it relieves stress, mood, as a son, it enhances our cognition, what dream, the motive. And by then physically take fit into new money beer saying quite better now near telephones wedding congonzano. Let's do something that will help us beneficial. So the question is, how do we balance your normal, because the normal excuse I say, oh, we've been very busy. We have, yes, I understand that we have a busy life. We are mothers and we are schooling at the same time, and we have full-time jobs. It's sometimes difficult to keep up. But even if you can find one day, just planning, if you can find a balance between all of this, because at the end of the day, one year, that busy schedule will break you down. Then at the end of the day, you realize that the most important thing out of all of your busy schedule was your health. Recently, it's something very sad. Now, Madam Fubi reached out to me. Now, Nikuno, your doctor. Your doctor, and then the woman has been very busy. Try to OP clinic. My many has been very busy doing so many things, and this thing I say it with a lot of pain in my heart and everything, because my mere doctor, she's very busy doing this, reading. She said, all of a sudden, and on your stroke. The sad part is the clinics is trying to open up, the business. Now all of that have come to a standstill just because the most important thing, the most important factor that allowed her to be running around and all of the things and when the busy schedule was her health. Mommy, our platform her. Trust me. The school, the money, and other things that you're trying to chase. So when you health her, you realize all those things don't matter. Effective planning, try to allocate time for yourself. Allocate time. Try and find time that this is me time. This is me time to build my health. Don't compromise on that. And no bois for it reduces your task, and then it reduces the feeling of why you're overwhelmed with a lot of things. A lot of time we are fighting with our partners and everything because we feel overwhelmed. And then learn to prioritize your tasks. Allow you to have leisure. You move you freya far from freya. Na ye be biatum. Prioritize. I'm one person that be can say I like soccer, the Ghana near brand here, like me pe ball on new say. Edru baby make beside me one question say in the time I spend this media use misika mako pen media talk cable the premiership for a bunch of these rich guys making money. That time I say me they call work out no media show mo na man kwan at the end of the day I'm putting money in their pocket, and then I realize no. So yes, the time no sooner say me call me out na me call me workout, I'll stop. It doesn't matter say workout fine or mobile. Me jako no makwa me workout me bana wo da so edua na ma ba beto. Because I wanted to prioritize me and my health. Because at the end of the day, say me da wona me nya ho na me health yeah. Omo me turn TV so ajo musika. So whatever things are important, be a TV show, be a watch anyways, right? Remember, those people are making their own money. So what that was is here, the best insurance you can give to your family is your health. And I want to repeat that. The best insurance you can give to your family in Chroma is your health. So prioritize that. So rest. Yempe time. The reason we are getting injuries and getting overwhelmed is we don't have time to rest. You can say sometimes would you say dating a crew my profile better to me yeah juma no man no vacation. It helps to rejuvenate. Even wo car crampo no uchi car ni here so arrested. How much more nipan? So we need all that. Rest and why it reduces stress and anxiety. And sometimes if you have to prioritize and sleep in one day, please do that. And for time now so they call resting in and found extra job and yet. Because one resting now will build the stress na pa na body need break it down. Some money now we're making in now beba hospital. It will be an exercise in futility. And try some relaxation techniques. Sometimes I like taking walk in parks and so just go Sabbath afternoon, take your family, go to the nearby lake or whatever, take a walk. When the family no monko and yet Sabbath na sometimes disconnect from the usual thing, take a walk with your family, go for a prayer walk. Sometimes I do go for a prayer walk in the creek, in that quiet, serene environment. It helps you reset and reflect on so many things. Dum light no fi a wood bedroom ho. Dum phone no. What's up chat nene chaso neda. We are all guilty of all of this, but we can do better. So like I said, how do we integrate all of this? You set priorities, you make intentional choices, and it will help you into planning what the no look ubit mafa and then your watches and then you ubit me their planning at a time no will ubit me the. Like I said, prioritize your helpline, make it personal. Look at the new person here and do that. It is common challenges and provoker. You need time. I don't have motivation. Me need resources. Me need knowledge, and the knowledge ne be no. Time no. You need to make the time. Obia know what time. But if it is important to you and you make time, also we need time. And so say see how one and kwadam for be a friend na monya konkonse bi dia. Nka meti matena phone also for 1 hour. Also kure also we need time. It's a matter of priority. So bisa say, okay, odo person tena phone so per year piece show so now they take a walk. Use that. Make it useful, make it meaningful. Your time no ko until I need to send a bit of questions be her. And we can seek support and other things. So you don't need fanciful equipment. And this exercise it doesn't have to last so long. It doesn't have to be very exhausting. It just have to be done. These physical activities. Na sietime ya. It has so many things for us. Me person heard the last video na me de man see. So you can take care of what matters most. Video ne say papa no akokra no had a goal. The goal say is one of the videos I may prepare here and say or you're not doing say from the beginning of the year by Christmas time we'll be to me add left and nana I'm the star as a Christmas tree so he needed to start or Shazen or person left weight. Okay. Which is equivalent to the nana weight or be left during Christmas time. Or Shazen it was tough. At some point, we need neighbor no. Na or is it? We shall say we set to go. So ask yourself, in the next 10, 20 years, what is the goal? What do you want? What is something that you are struggling now? Or we say the next 20 years or 30 years or 10 years, you should be able to, or the next year, by the end of the year, what is one thing, just one, you want to be able to achieve? Papa, that was his goal. Or shall say any neighbors and shall say almost at some point. Or shall say so here consistency. Nipa na first no drag ya there for floor no so no. The dead your friend is saying kettlebell not dragging. He started lifting it. Edu everyone say enkra na kra wo neighbor hunu so ye enkra na shall say so mo so ye bi. Ye money bebree obese because they see parents who are not active. There be a Dr. Hada Menerico ye cancer say people say oh diabetes run in my family because nobody run in your family. I want to say diabetes run in your family because nobody run in the family. Papa Nisha says oh yeah consistently, he has started people laugh at him. Me say, Osha says oh yeah these changes are we feel for crabesero. But you have a goal. The man has a goal. Nepana baby they're like, Papa, what are you trying to do? But no goal. He had one goal, say he can be able to put smile on the face of the granddaughter during Christmas, to be able to lift her up to put that star on the Christmas. But he started way back in Kakrakra. He was able to safely squat and lift the granddaughter to do that. The question I maybe say, what do you want to achieve? It is possible. If you want it bad enough, you're going to do something to make it work. It is my prayer saying Yankopon Beboye, no one the willpower to make those life-enhancing changes so that we can balance our health and our responsibility. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. Dr. Nyamin